Around the Valley's on.
Around the Valley's on!
Around the Valley's on! Oh my God! Hello everybody and welcome to this week's edition of Around the Valley. Today I am joined by two guests, which is a little bit abnormal. I have my esteemed colleague to my left, Mr. Jeff Cataloni, and then my esteemed colleague to my right, a former People champion, Miss Lo Moynihan. So today's been a little wild in here. We have people watching yodeling YouTube videos and whatnot.
Speaking
Latvian. Yeah, we got Latvian coming on in the studio. But to start off, this is the first taping of the show since the bombings in Boston, and I wanted to get a sense of not the politics behind it and what's, everybody, what CNN's covering, the opinions on what happened or the bombers themselves, but I want to get a sense, because you guys are both Massachusetts natives, of what the bombs impact was on Marathon Monday specifically. So whoever would like to go.
Well, I think on Marathon Monday, it's always been, it's on Patriots Day. It's a day that we celebrate not only our city, but the country as a whole. And it's always been a huge source of pride for this city and this state. And I think it hasn't damaged the day at all. If anything, it's enhanced it and it made us more proud. And I think more people are going to run the marathon next year for years to come. I know that my sister started training for it the day after
Good for her.
It happened, and I'm going to start training. And I think this city is just such a proud city, and we always have been. It's always been Boston pride, and if anything, it's just enhanced it. We're a stronger city now. I really think we're just going to get better.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. It's great to see, a lot of local sports athletes, rallying behind the people who are, so badly affected. You see a lot of this on, the social media as far as, them, coming to the hospital and, visiting a lot of people that were, directly affected by it.
Right.
Also, there's been a lot of, local and, not so local, helping out as far as, with money to, help offset some of those costs. I know that I saw on the internet that some kids raised $500,000 by selling T-shirts, which was really great to see.
Yeah.
It's just good to see a lot of people helping out.
Yeah, I think for me personally, my family has been running marathons since I've been born. My mom's done 6, my uncles have done upwards of 6 or 7. My sister ran it last year. My cousin was actually just crossing the finish line as the bombs exploded. So it's been a very family-oriented day for me. And I know as a city, Marathon Monday means so much to everybody because the Red Sox play at 11. Then you got, and specifically on last week on Marathon Monday this year, the Bruins were playing that night. It's just everybody goes to the city, and Bill Simmons wrote an article that I think really captured the feeling. He said it's the last festival that you can really go to. Before this happened, you could literally just walk in and out of the finish line area and join thousands of people, all dressed up in colors and little kids, and it's, I think more than anything, the attacks sickened me because they did it on a day where Boston is just so proud of their sports. Everything about it, like we love the marathon. And I think that it is, and like you guys have been mentioning, it's terrific to see the support coming out. And you got the Sox for changing their jersey from Red Sox to Boston, and the Boston Strong, and then the national anthem at the Bruins game. I don't know if you guys saw that. That was incredible. I've never seen anything like that. I don't know if anybody else has, where it's a crowd. You could hear word for word the national anthem from a crowd of people. But so then the other thing that I wanted to ask you guys about the marathon was, because we are such a proud sports city, how has sports helped the healing process?
I think a tremendous amount. Even outside of Boston, the Yankees playing Sweet Carol.
How cool was that?
What?
How cool was that?
That was pretty awesome,
Yeah.
definitely.
I couldn't believe, I never thought I would see the day.
Right?
And it's not just that, it's international. The London Marathon just happened, and they had a huge banner
Oh, that was so
saying,
incredible.
if you can't run, walk, and just finish for Boston. That's amazing, and I think just everything from what Big Poppy said.
Oh, that was cool. That was cool. And the other thing about that one was that the FCC okayed it. The FCC,
yeah.
the
Wow.
FCC said it was completely okay. They weren't gonna censor it at all, which
Yeah.
was that. How cool was that?
I
That's
did not hear
amazing.
about that, but wow,
Yeah.
that's pretty awesome.
It's, yeah, it's got to be integral, especially in a city like Boston when it happened to a sporting event. I mean, let's hope the Celtics pick it up a little bit. Let's hope the Bruins pick it up a little bit because the Sox have been carrying the weight right now.
Definitely.
But speaking of that, going to the playoffs, we have the Celtics right now down 0-2 to the Knicks. I wanted to get your guys' take on so far what the series has been like.
Well, I wouldn't look at it as the Knicks winning. I would look at it as us losing.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
I think that the guys are tired.
Yeah.
They are getting beaten up. I mean, Garnett's hip is injured. Apparently, it's not going to get him like out of the game or anything, but it's definitely not great having Garnett going in hurt.
No.
That's
Yeah,
not good.
it's a little unfortunate we've had so many injuries this year. As far as our big men, who have we had go down?
Wilcox is gone down,
Solinger.
Solinger went down. KG was out for a little while with the ankle. It's just been a carousel.
Yeah, we've been pretty banged up, and it's pretty evident. We've only been averaging in these 2 playoff games 3.5 offensive rebounds, while we've been letting up 8.5 offensive rebounds. We've only been scoring, 75 points per game, while we let up 86. So I think that's.
What do you think the reason is? What do you think the reason is that for the lack of offense this time around?
I think it's really, we don't have any second chance points. So, those offensive rebounds are huge. And, that's probably definitely a reason for why we haven't been scoring as much. Also, we haven't been getting really much production out of Courtney Lee, only averaging 2 points per game, as well as Jason Terry's only been getting,
and
4.5.
Jason Terry's been playing big minutes. He played 34 minutes in yesterday's game.
And, even Bass, only averaging, 5 points per game in these 2 games. So I think that definitely, if we're going to turn it around, we need some kind of production out of, Lee, Terry, and Bass as well. We can't just keep relying on, Jeff Green and Paul Pierce.
Well, that's one of the things I was going to ask you guys is the emergence of Jeff Green. We have talked about it previously on the show. While Jeff Green has been emerging as an incredible athlete, KG has been slowly diminishing a little bit. I mean, I think right now he had a double-double last night. It was like 12 and 10. He only had 8 points in the first game. And like you said, his hip is bothering him. His minutes have been down. But what do you guys think about that? Without Rondo running the point, and with Jeff Green having to take a lot more of the load off of Paul Pierce, why do you see KG falling away so much with the emergence of a Jeff Green?
I just think it's tough, as far as, he's really our only big man right now. I mean, other than, him, our next, biggest guy is Brandon Bass.
Yeah.
And it's tough when, you're the only one. I feel like they focus more around you, which kind of will, limit the amount of points that you'll get.
Yeah, he's also old. I mean,
He's getting up
Poor
there in
guy.
age, that's
I
for
love
sure.
you, KG.
I know,
Poor guy.
I love him, but he's old, and I think he's getting tired.
Yeah.
I honestly think that has a lot to do with how he's playing.
Yeah.
He's just beaten down and tired. I think most of the team is just tired.
Yeah, and then the other thing about that is, I mean, he's going up against Tyson Chandler, who is a former defensive player of the year.
Yeah,
the dude
definitely.
is averaging 4 blocks a game. He's just a beast down low. He carried, well, not carried, but he was a major part of that Dallas Mavericks run 2 years ago when they won the championship. I was thinking, you made a good point with no second chance points, and I've wanted to say for a while that this Knicks team, as much as I hate the Knicks and I respect Carmelo Anthony's game, he's the scoring leader, I really don't like the guy, just for some reason. That's the sports fan in me.
Yep.
But Mike Woodson has created a team that is defense first. I mean, they're only scoring 88, 87 points a game. I think they had 84 the first game, 87 last night, something like that.
Yeah.
This team is predicated around defending the basketball and then getting J.R. Smith and Carmelo Anthony the ball on the offensive end of the floor. So what do you guys, how can we win? Because we're down 0-2. Not a good place to be. We're going home, but how do you see us taking Game 3?
I think we need to, start taking more high percentage shots. We need to start working it, down low a lot more, which is tough because of the fact that we don't really have any big guys. But, we've been starting games out really fast,
That's the
and
thing.
we've been, which comes back to the fact that you said, we're getting a little old, which, could be, what was it the other day that we didn't have any field goals in the last 9 minutes of the game?
We scored 11 points.
That's just, that might just be, father time,
Yeah.
But I think the key to success is definitely, starting to pick it up on the offensive rebounding. We just need more second chance opportunities, really,
What do you think, Lo?
I definitely agree. I mean, we need to get those rebounds. We need to have more endurance. We need to not just go all out
Yeah.
for like the
First half.
Yeah, you can't blow out your team that fast because you know that the other team is going to keep playing until the end. It's almost like the game ends 5 minutes early for the Celtics
Yeah,
these days.
it's unbelievable.
Yeah, another thing too, Jeff Green has been doing pretty well, but some games he's been scoring 20 points in the first half and then kind of tapering off at the end, scoring 5, 6 points. We need him to just kind of take it over. He's he's really our scorer right now, him and Paul Pierce, but I'd like to see Jeff Green kind of take games over a little bit more, with his athletic ability.
That's the thing. I think they've been rotating Green and Pierce on Melo. That guy, he's going to score points. That's just the way it is. He's done it for his entire career. I think that for us to win this next game, we have to take J.R. Smith out of the game.
Yeah, definitely.
He just scored. He's got 15 in the first, 19 in the second, and his points are coming in bunches because he can shoot the lights out of the ball. If we can take J.R. Smith out of the game, we're losing by 14, but they're not scoring incredible amounts of points. So you take 10 points away from him, and we're both doing terribly on offense. But all right, I think that's enough for the Celtics. Good luck, boys. Let's get a win here in Boston. Let's move over to the Bruins because their season's wrapping up rapidly. I think, including tonight's game, there's 2 games left.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's ending too soon.
I know. It started way too late and ended way too soon. But I want to get your feelings going into the playoffs. We have a game tonight, I believe, against Tampa Bay. But yeah, we just came off of a terrible performance against Philadelphia. And I want to see where you guys think we stand. I think we're seated right now, depending on where if Montreal wins or we lose, right now we're scheduled to play Ottawa in the first round. So what is your feeling going forward? Well, we'll start with you.
I think we need our special teams to step it up
Yeah.
a lot. I think we need a little bit better goaltending, and we need our defense to really start defending. And I know defense is, you're pretty much just a second goalie, pretty much. You got a tough job, but you got to step it up. And I think if we get those 3 things, then we will be in the best shape like we were when we won the championship. I mean, if that's what we need to fine-tune it. We need to get out there, and I'm a big fan of Jaromir Jagr. I mean,
yes,
yes,
finally.
I'm obsessed with him. I mean, Google
long
image
hair.
search the guy. I mean, in the 80s, the guy had fantastic hair.
Oh my God.
Fantastic.
Still does.
Unbelievable flow. Unbelievable
Unbelievable.
flow. Lo, I think we're just going to give the People's Champion away right now. That is literally the greatest thing that I've heard on this program yet, because I'm taking a lot of heat for loving Jaromir Jagr.
No, I'm obsessed with him.
He's unbelievable.
He's 41 years old, and yeah, he's old, but he knows how to play the game. He knows how to play, and I think he was an incredible trade. I'm so happy that he's in a Bruins jersey.
Yes, me too. What do you think, Jeff?
I would say, it comes down to a couple of things, scoring and goaltending, a couple of years back when we won it all. I mean, that came all down to Tim Thomas. I think it really comes down to Tuukka Rask and, how good he can, kind of defend the goal. I think his save percentage right now is at a .927, which is
Pretty high.
Yeah.
pretty good, but it all really comes down to the playoffs. Everything kind of just starts over. So we also need to keep up our good goal scoring from Marchand and Seguin, some good assists from Bergeron and Krejci. So yeah, I think if we stick to those two things, I think we should be good in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, Bruins hockey has been molded the last couple of years after toughness and physicality.
Yeah.
I think we've gotten a little soft in the last couple of games.
Mm-hmm.
At least it's looked that way. We need to find a way to put the puck in the net.
Yeah. Definitely.
It's getting a little bit ridiculous. And as Lo mentioned, our special teams is 24th in the league is our power play.
Wow.
And it is awful to watch.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing to watch.
I honestly, every time there's a power play, I look away from this game because I know
Yeah,
that,
we're
nothing's
killing
gonna
our own
happen.
penalties.
It's crazy because we were just as bad, a couple years ago when we won it.
Right.
But I don't see really the same thing happening. That's kind of just a rare thing to see. A team do so bad on the power play and end up winning the Stanley Cup.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I don't think besides that year in Boston, I don't think that's happened ever.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess I'll do a little bit of research for as much effort as I want to put into today's show. But yeah, I loved the trade for Jágr because he's so smart, he's so great around the goal, and he's a big boy. He's 6'3".
Oh, the boy, he's a man.
All right. He's a big man.
I feel like Jágr is the definition of a man. So.
All right,
beast.
that's fair. But we really need to get the puck in the net. We need Lucic to step up because he has only had 6 goals this year. That's pathetic.
Wow.
That's absurd.
That's pathetic. I mean, he's like 4th in the team in points, but like, good God. With a body like that, just get out front and start deflecting pucks to the net. I don't really, you're
use that body almost to box him out a little
seriously.
bit.
Yeah. But I think we're averaging like 2.5 goals a game.
Yeah.
Like, we can't be doing that.
No, yeah,
You're not
very
giving
good.
Tuukka any help.
Yeah.
Which is, it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish Chiarelli had made a couple more moves on the offensive end by the trade deadline. He didn't. We did get Jágr. He's fitting in moderately well.
Yeah, you gotta give him time. I mean,
Yeah. But what do you think about us and Ottawa? Because we have played pretty poorly against the Senators this year. Yeah?
I don't know. I'm nervous, but I always have faith in the Bruins.
Yes.
I feel like out of all the Boston teams, like I've been dwindling on the Pats the past couple of years. All right, let me tell you that. It's like an abusive.
Tom Brady.
That's a
Tom
sore
Brady's not
subject a
keeping you
little
into
bit.
it?
I love Tom Brady. I mean, not as much as you, but it's. I don't know. I was raised on the Bruins, so I feel like I always have faith that they're gonna pull through. Especially this team. I don't know why, but this team like owns my heart. So I have faith that they'll
They
be
can pass on.
able. Yeah.
Yeah, I would just say, it comes really down to, the goaltending. I think that's just such a huge part,
Of the playoffs.
of the
Yeah.
playoffs,
No question
Because
about
everyone's
it.
just going
a
full
good
out,
goalie can really
like-
just offset, poor scoring and, a poor-ish defense.
Yeah.
So I really think it's kind of, one of those things where it's going to, Tuukka is going to make it or break it,
That has been proven in the last 5, 6, 7 playoffs. The
Yeah.
hot goalie wins.
We've also been, a little suspect in overtime, so
That's true.
we need to, kind of, when we get into overtime, we get in those shootouts, we just need to lock it out and find a way to, put the puck in the net.
It's a great point. Obviously, shootouts go away in the playoffs, but we've lost overtime games
Yeah.
pretty handily. The other thing we've been doing is giving up leads late in games, which you can't do at all. But yeah, the hot goalie wins. I mean, as noted last year, as the 8 seed took it, and John Quick, UMass shout out, love you, Johnny. But yeah, if two can get hot, I mean, obviously the teams to beat are Pittsburgh and Chicago. They each have 70 points in a 48-game season, which is unreal.
Pretty insane, yeah.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh.
Right. Yeah. And they're doing it without Sid the Kid, who just got
Yeah.
beamed in the face with a puck.
Oh,
I mean, that's rough,
looked
but like,
a little brutal.
I can only sympathize so much.
Yeah. If he played for the Bruins, it'd be a different story.
Oh yeah. We'd go visit him in the hospital. They could bring him soup or something.
I'd be crying over there right now.
But yeah, so they're clearly the teams to beat, and we're tied with Montreal. That's the other big thing is the seeding. If we lose tonight and Montreal wins, we're dropped down to the 4th seed, and we would play, I believe, Washington, which would not be good again. We have not played well against Washington.
Yeah,
we need
no,
to get
I
out of
don't-
this first round.
I don't want to start the playoffs playing
The Caps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, the
No.
Caps.
You don't want to
that
start
could
off
be.
the playoffs
Yeah.
doing
I think we
that.
did lose in overtime to them earlier this year.
Yes, we did. We've had. I think we're 1-3, 2 against them this year.
Yeah.
And we're poor. I can't tell you the record against Ottawa, but we are not playing well against Ottawa. So we got to make it past this first round. I think that will really determine where this Bruins team goes. Let's hope they make a cup run. God, that would be cool.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
clearly the Celtics aren't holding up their end right now. They're getting beat.
Yeah.
All right, enough on hockey. Let's move over to the Red Sox because our boys are keeping Boston strong. They're 14-7, I believe.
Oh, yep, 14-7 right now.
Yeah, and won on a 6-game tear last week. So what are your thoughts on the Red Sox?
Season's still early.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a long season, but I definitely think they were motivated, by the events that happened at the Boston Marathon. I think that gave them a little bit of a, extra oomph to, start cranking out some wins. We've had a lot of good production, hitting from, Ortiz, Iglesias, Carp. Nava's been doing well.
Napoli just
we have I
wrecked
think
Grand
6 or
Slam.
7 players batting over 300 right now, so that's pretty good. We've also had some pretty good pitching from Buchholz and Lester.
Yep.
Right now, I think they each have 4 wins.
I think so. Yep.
So all in all, that's pretty good.
I don't know. I love the Red Sox, but I also hate the Red Sox. So, I mean...
It's a love-hate thing.
Yeah, I feel like as with every Bostonian, it's a love-hate thing with the Red Sox.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I never get my hopes up too early in the season.
All right,
It's
that's
very,
a
very
very,
true.
very fair point.
I hope they keep playing the way that they do.
It's been cool
I
to
really,
watch.
really hope.
Yeah,
Like, as a fan this time around,
Yeah.
let's get away from the stats. But after last season, it's been cool to watch the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. When the Red Sox are winning, baseball is my favorite sport.
It's good to watch, a couple of these guys from, the Pawtucket Red Sox, come up, or the Paw Sox, come up. I think Daniel Nava was one of them. It's good to see some homegrown talent, rather than have all these big names like Crawford last year and
Beckett and Gonzalez.
Gonzalez,
all those guys were
yep.
shipped out of here.
yeah, it's good to see some of these no names, just
Yeah.
you
Shane Victorino is rapidly becoming one of my favorite players.
Yeah.
He's just he seems like a really cool dude. He works his butt off when he's out on the field. I don't know. I mean, the stats are pretty good right now. We've gotten some big wins, although we did just get smoked in 7 innings by the A's, 13-0 on a rainy day. But it's been, for me, it's just been you gotta love early baseball season because there's gonna be the point in June and July and the beginning and actually most of just all of August where it's so slow.
Yeah.
And that's my only knock on baseball. I played baseball. I love the sport of baseball, but my God, they need a pitch clock.
Yeah.
It gets long, but the beginning part's cool and we're winning, which is even cooler.
Yeah.
So
good.
I don't know.
It's good to see we're in first place in our division right now.
Yeah,
as well.
especially with a team like Toronto who got all the big names
Yep.
in the offseason, and they're not shaping up so well. So I mean,
yeah, it's good to see the Yankees not doing too well right now
right.
either.
Yeah. Although
Still got a little love for Uke, but I would
you.
yeah,
You gotta love you.
I love
broke my heart when he
I
left
know.
and went to the Yankees. But it's good to see them not doing good.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to see them not doing well.
Yeah, I mean, my hard, cold heart towards the Yankees warmed a little bit
Yeah.
over the past week. But
Yeah.
They're still the Yankees.
Yeah,
They're still
exactly.
That's I also want to give a shout out to the Bell Center in Montreal. That night when the attack happened on Monday, they blacked out their entire stadium and did a huge moment of silence up there in Montreal. And another huge rival. I hate the Canadians more than I hate the Yankees, to be honest with you.
Canadians.
So that was pretty cool. So we definitely got to give the shout outs all the way around to everybody who did support Boston in their little time of darkness and trouble.
Yeah, another shout out. I thought it was a class act by the Chicago Tribune to take out that ad in their newspaper.
Yep.
That was really heartfelt, and they said we are the Patriots, we are the Bruins,
Yep.
which which is cool to see them, rallying around our sports teams in our communities.
Because, I mean, then, like we said earlier, that is such the heart and soul of Boston is our professional sports. We don't have colleges that have got big-time sports.
Yeah.
Really, UMass is not picking up their weight right now.
Not yet. Hopefully that'll change a little.
BC dropped the ball. Although
Yeah.
ULowell, actually, we haven't
Yeah.
done a taping since ULowell. They ended up losing in the Frozen Four, but we will give a shout-out to them for their incredible hockey season.
Yeah.
One thing I did actually want the ad, my mother called me, and I'm sure she'll be happy, but she called me and said that Mo Vaughn took out an ad in the Globe and did a thing. How cool is that?
Yeah.
Mo Vaughn.
Mo.
Yeah, like hasn't been around since like 1998. Dude's like truck driving somewhere. So yeah, we'll give a shout out to there. All right, but then last thing as we get going, obviously huge news in the sporting world is the draft. The NFL draft starts tonight. The first round starts at 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, and then rounds 2 and 3 are Friday night, and then you get the back end on the weekend. Real quick, obviously the Patriots are terrible to be a fan of the draft because they never get a big name. But who do you think they should go with or trade? Should they package picks like they always do?
I think really, as of right now, we need a wide receiver. We did sign Amendola, but we did get rid of, Welker and Brandon Lloyd. So I think, we have a lot of slot guys. We have, the Julian Edelmans, the Amendolas. We also have Hernandez who can play in the slot, Gronk. But that's all in the middle of the field. What we really need is a wide receiver who can, stretch the field a little bit.
Absolutely.
There's a couple guys like Terrence Williams out of Baylor, he's got a big body, 6'2", 220 pounds, and Keenan Allen out of California, he's another big guy that could, we just really need that threat that we haven't had since we got rid of Randy Moss, to stretch the field, help open up, some of those underneath passes for, those slot guys.
Yeah.
I also think, it's been dubbed that this is the draft of the linemen.
It is. Well, I mean, it really is.
Yeah, there's a lot of talented players, which...
I think the first mock drafts that you're looking at, the first 5 picks, pretty much across all of them are offensive linemen.
Yeah.
Or I think there's one DN thrown in there. That kid from Utah. I can't think of his name right now. But and then maybe one from BYU, depending on the mock draft. But yeah, it really is the draft for linemen. I don't know.
I think that, the linemen are kind of, a great position to just stock up on because, a lot of times, linemen get hurt and, it's always great to just have, a lot of them,
Especially,
around.
we did lose a lineman. I'm trying to think of who we lost because we did lock up Volmer. I can't think of who we lost right off the top of my head. Do you know? Do you remember?
I can't recall.
I can't remember either.
But, yeah, I think... as far as the draft goes, the Pats just love, stockpiling picks.
Packaging picks. Yep.
And I'm sure, the Patriots, every year, they'll probably find a hidden gem, somewhere in the 5th or 6th round, like always. So
Tommy B, another shout out to Tom Brady.
Oh my God.
I also thought.
Buy him a ring already.
I would.
I also thought it was a little crazy that we need cornerbacks, but I think we're pretty good. We're gonna get Alfonso Dennard back. We got Talib locked up for the next year. We got Arrington, who's also...
I hate Kyle Arrington. I could go on a million ways to tell you how he is just a terrible cornerback. We need to lose him.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Hofstra.
The Hofstra alum. Yeah. You know what? He's good at playing the slot, what I mean, as far as corner. He's a pretty good slot, but as far as, covering the big, name wide receivers, it's just too much for him.
I mean, look, I want to go to you. What do you, as a fan, the Patriots draft?
I mean, I don't know how they're going to find a wide receiver.
That's true.
That especially is going to take the place of Welker. I mean,
Danny Amendola has the skills.
yeah, I agree. I
He
think
just better not get hurt.
Yeah.
and that's
that
the
would
thing.
be a
I
little
feel like
devastating.
as a fan, I am constantly seeing a huge Pats player go down and injured, and I'm just like, what is happening?
Gronk just got another surgery. We'll throw that one out there.
boy.
That's his 3rd on his arm. Something weird's going on with that.
Who's this?
Gronk got
Oh,
another
boy.
surgery on his arm. So,
Oh, gosh.
but
The Nobel Prize winner.
Yeah.
It might be one of those things where, the best way to stay safe is, sometimes to avoid some of those hits, you know what I mean? Like some of those players that, just, tiptoe out of bounds rather than, getting banged up for that extra yard. That could be one of Gronk's downfalls. But, hopefully, we'll pick up some good talent in the draft this
Yeah,
year.
I liked how you said Terrence Williams out of Baylor. He's a terrific wide receiver. He played with RG3 for a little while, and he didn't have as great as a season last year, although Baylor wasn't as good of a team last year. But he is a big guy on the outside who can run, and I think that is a terrific point to bring up. We do not have – Brandon Lloyd was supposed to be that guy, and it was fun to watch Brandon Lloyd. His body control in the air was phenomenal, but he didn't have that season that everybody thought he was going to stretch the fields.
Yeah, it wasn't really so much a bust, but it was a little bit of a letdown,
Yes,
I would have to say.
That's a great way to say it.
But, yeah, I think we just need, that wide receiver, that's above 6 feet. I mean, how long has it been? It was like Randy Moss was the last guy we had that was like, a nice, tall, like typical wide receiver. I think we need to get back to that, start making it easier for Tom Brady to make, completions.
Open
for
middle of the field. I mean,
target.
the only in the last 2 years that what you're watching in the offense is the only person that stretches the field is right down the seam, and it's Gronk and Hernandez, right down the seam.
Exactly.
So you're hoping to beat that safety over the top. It works. I mean, Gronkowski's a physical specimen, but yet I completely agree. We need to pick up a legitimate speed threat.
Yeah.
Anybody, I don't care who it is, just to put him on the field, just to take away one of those safeties, back him another 15 yards off the ball, give Hernandez the ball at 15 to 20 yards. He can do some pretty cool things.
Yeah, I think it'll definitely just open everything up for guys like Amendola and Edelman. What I mean, on those little 3 routes, the little slip out routes. I think that's really going to help them, a lot if we can just get that 1 or 2 guys that can just stretch the field.
Yeah. All right, well, we are coming up on time, I believe. I kind of screwed up the timer at some point here, but I think we're somewhere in vicinity of ending this program. So I guess the People's Championship went to Lo because of her incredible talk on Yarber Yager.
Very nice.
So you get 30-ish seconds. We honestly could be, I don't know, but go for it.
What to talk about, you guys? What to talk about? Sports, am I right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'm just excited. I am more jazzed about Boston sports than I have been in a while. And maybe it's because of the Boston Marathon. Actually, of course it is.
Yep.
Of course that is a reason why I am actually watching the Celtics when usually I just catch the recap. And I don't know, I'm just really excited for the Red Sox. I'm excited for the Bruins. I'm excited for the draft, even though
You can't be a fan of the Patriots and be a fan of the draft. It sucks.
no.
I mean, last year we
I
did
love
get
watching the draft.
We
Who
did.
doesn't
to
like- come on.
Hightower and
And who was it? Hightower and Chandler Jones.
in the first round,
Yep.
which was
pretty cool.
pretty awesome.
Yeah, because we hadn't picked
That
in the first
never
round in like
happens.
2 years. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is this there in 30 seconds?
Oh, wow. Oh!
Call that out. No, but I enjoy the draft. I like watching the draft just because I like sports and I like to see where these college kids who work their ass off
Yes.
Yep.
for their whole life. I mean, these kids start playing when they're like 4 years old. They pick up a football when they can stand,
Yep.
and they're going to 2-a-days when they're like 12. And
Yeah.
it's awesome to see them go to a pro team and all their hard work pays off.
Did you see that thing that the
I don't know
honey?
what that was. I think that might be our
Because
time.
it might be a bird in the studio, or it's
Yeah.
our time.
I don't know what is going on right now, but I think I'm being called on time. So that is it for our show this week. I want to thank Lo and I want to thank Jeff. It has been a lot of fun this time around. So everybody have a great week and hope some cool stuff happens in sports. Goodbye.